Hey, George Martinez from Orlando, amazing agent up there. Thank you for joining me again on this video where we're going to specifically talk about listing expireds because you've had really great success with expireds, right, George?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity to meet with me today.
Oh my goodness, my pleasure. Thank you for agreeing. So, George, what prompted, obviously, you're one of my clients. What prompted us getting together for this video is on July 1st, we're in the middle of July now, or almost. On July 1st, I presented a little challenge to my clients to call expireds on the 1st. You should be calling them every day, but we know on the 1st of every month you have more expireds. Set an appointment and go list that expired the same day. So that was
Exactly.
the challenge. And you did it.
I did.
And I know I'm so excited about it, but then you said, well, I've done it before. It's not the first time I list and expired the same day. So, George, I want you to talk to the people watching because, there may be new agents here or some even experienced agents that, first of all, don't call expireds or don't think it's possible to actually call an expired, set an appointment for the same day, go out and list it. So talk to me, talk to them about how do you do this? How do you make that possible?
Well, at the end of the day, as you mentioned, it's all about mindset, time on task, internalizing and practicing your dialogue, knowing what to say and how to say it and how to deliver it. And it's just taking action and doing it at the end of the day.
That sounds way too simple. What time do you call expireds in the morning, George?
Right at 8 o'clock each morning,
You start at 8 a.m.
8
Okay.
a.m. fresh expired.
Okay. So talk to us about the one that you listed on the first. Okay. Just tell us how did that conversation go? What kind of objections did you do? You remember? I mean,
Yeah,
we're
definitely.
recording this on July 11th. So tell us about that. How, when you called that seller, had he received calls from other agents yet? Because they usually tell us.
Yeah, it was actually an interesting conversation. It was a fresh expired on July 1st. He had just coming off, he had a relationship with the previous agent. He was contemplating if he wanted to work with them again.
Hmm.
And I said, hey, sir, obviously he's a good agent and I have nothing against him. You wouldn't have not mentioned it to me if he was a good agent. At the same time, before you sign another 6-month agreement with this agent, just sit with me for about 20 minutes so I can show you how I can net you the most money in the least amount of time with the fewest hassles. And you got a couple objections. It probably took us about maybe 4 to 5 objection handlers,
Hmm.
set the appointment. And the good thing about it, one thing that impressed them is that I got to the appointment literally about 10 minutes early. You teach us, you kind of like got to know your market, drive around, check out the competition or the comps. And I got there and he says, you know what? You separated yourself from all the other agents. You got here on time. And I like that punctuality. So that right there built the rapport and held the presentation. And I'll be honest with you, when we went to the appointment, I had everything. I won over the wife, won over the husband. And he actually said, you know what? I want to think it over. And
Oh,
I gave him the objection, understanding where he's coming from. Can you explain why do you have to think it over? What specifically you have to think it over?
yep.
And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't get the appointment at the very second. I left a little discouraged. No lie, I wrote my sales X group. We have a WhatsApp chat. And I said, guys, I did everything I possibly could. I don't know what. I came with my tail between my legs. And no lie, he texts me and he calls me back. As soon as I send that text, he's like, George, we were really impressed with you. Come on over. We want to sign the contract. We want to work with you.
Oh, okay. So make sure I understood this correctly because I didn't know this part about it. You actually left,
I
you
left,
didn't sign,
didn't sign. I
and
did
then
everything in my means to get that appointment. And I was like, what is going on? Even the wife was confused. The wife was confused. She was like, what is going on here?
what do you mean?
So
Like, explain. Like, what? How was she confused? What was happening?
yeah, I think the situation was that they're going to Utah, and He wanted to rent the property and the wife doesn't. She's like, at the end of the day, she's like, look, who's going to be maintaining this property is me, the wife. She's like, you're not going to do it. He's like, no, 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 we're going to do it. We ran over the numbers. He had really good numbers. And I understood his point. And at the same time, I gave him objection handler after objection handler. He was going to sign, had the pen in his hand. And he
Whoa.
says, you know what? I'm not going to do it. So we did what we had to do. I stood up. Thank you for your time. I left and I'm going to be honest. I was like, man, what went wrong? What went wrong here? Nothing. At the end of the day, I guess the wife says, you're going to list with him. And she called me back, no lie, in 7 minutes and came right over and I got the contract signed.
7 minutes later, they called you back and you were already like chatting with the sales X members on WhatsApp. Oh my.
Yeah, they were.
Oh my gosh, that phone call, George, must
Yeah.
have been amazing. Such a great
Yes.
feeling.
I even gave him a God bless you.
Absolutely. All right. So, question for you. Did you pre-qualify that appointment?
Absolutely. Yes. To the
Okay.
T.
What are some of the questions you ask when you're pre-qualifying?
Obviously the first one, what's your motivation for moving? What is your price point that you're looking for? I actually got him to reduce by 15,000.
Okay. Yeah.
Motivation. And if, the key question is if everything makes sense and you're absolutely confident that I am the right agent to get the job done, will you list with me when I come over? At that time was 3:00. He said, yeah, you sound confident. And if the numbers make sense and if you show the validation, I'll sign with you. And
So when you asked that question, because he was thinking of relisting with the same agent, did he bring that up again? Did he bring that up at the appointment? Did that ever come back? That objection?
it came very casually. It's one of those things that they kind of test the waters per se. You just repeat and approve, acknowledge, show respect, and you just go on to the next topic.
Wow. Okay. Why do you think it's important to pre-qualify all of your appointments, which is what I teach you and all of the sales X members? Because there are a lot of coaches and trainers that says, no, 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 you don't need to pre-qualify, just get in front of them. Why wouldn't you do that, George?
Well, from my experience, it better prepares you for that appointment. You understand what is their true motivation. Are they realistic? Do they want to be a marketable property or not? And at the same time, you're enlightened. You know what to prepare, what dialogues to that may be presented to you during that presentation.
Yeah. So we know, because I tell you guys this too, sellers lie about the motivation, right? So when you start asking, I'm very much against getting into motivation before you set an appointment, because they're more likely to lie before they say yes to meeting with you than when you're pre-qualifying. You're already in rapport. They're agreeing to meet with you for a reason. So, what are your thoughts on that? Because you want to make sure that you're going to be able to sell this home. They have the motivation to sell, knowing that sometimes they don't fully open up about that. So, what do you do with that on the prequal if they don't sound like they're a 10 on the motivation scale?
Yeah, and I kind of like you mentioned it in your lessons a couple times. I kind of don't use the word lying in a sense. You've explained it in the past that they don't know who you are, you don't know who they are, and it's a natural defense mechanism to protect. We're talking about one of the most expensive assets.
Yeah.
Chances are they were probably burnt in the past, so we need to understand what their perspective is from, and have empathy. So once they ask that question, if their guard is still kind of tight, you kind of hit it at a different angle. Let's just, Jackie, let's just pretend here. Let's just hypothetical.
Yeah.
I know there's other agents that say they underpromise and they underdeliver, or they overpromise and they still underdeliver. But if everything makes sense to you, Jackie, I mean, we could talk about the time frame. We can get you to point A to point B and when you desire, and we net you the most money that the market can actually provide you in today's terms. I mean, would you consider listing with me? And if they say yes, maybe, then I move forward.
Wow, George, I'm so impressed. That sounded really good. I haven't heard you role play like that. I love that. Yeah. So clearly, you call them in the morning, you set an appointment for the same day, you go listed that same day. I mean, what do you say to agents that think that previewing is a good idea? Because I mean, that's a total waste of time. I mean, how do you go? How, okay, you talk about that. What are your thoughts on previewing property? Have you ever done it, by the way, before you started working with me?
No, honestly, I really, you kind of have that desperation at times to do it. And at the same time, fortunately, I've been trained by great people as yourself. But for you guys that want to continue previewing, go ahead. You're helping me out, right? So I'm
Oh my God.
jokingly saying that.
Hi, George. I love that. I actually think exactly that. You want to go preview property, just pray that you're not competing with one of my clients because you're going to get
Exactly.
crushed. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Why do you think it's a waste of time? Why wouldn't
Well,
you
because
do
it's
it?
you don't have, honestly, you don't have the rapport. The purpose of the pre-qual is kind of building rapport. In a way, when you're asking these pre-qualifying questions, you're actually closing, in my interpretation, you're closing each time you ask a question,
Yep.
because you're differentiating yourself against the competition, where the competition may not be asking those questions. And if everything makes sense, would you consider listing with me? That's a close. And they're in their mind, they're saying, hey, I have a professional that's going to come there and he's going to do his best to get this. So once you go into the door, that rapport, that tension of why you're there is understood by both parties. And so at the end of the day, if you don't get it signed, it's either me, I didn't provide the value, or I misled that person to believe that I was just there to preview.
George, do you have the same so anyway, let's finish. I was going to ask you about for sale bonus, but before we switch to FSBOs for a moment here, you call expireds every day, Monday through Friday?
Every day, yeah.
Every day.
Every day.
And you call the new ones first,
Call the new ones.
obviously. Yeah.
Yes.
What do you do if they don't answer the phone in the morning?
Well, I mean, I follow up, keep calling until they pick up.
Okay. And this is not, you told me, and I mentioned in the beginning of the video, it's not the first time you call a brand new expired and you go list it the same day.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, as a rookie, didn't happen, your mindset's there. You do need good influencers as yourself, Jackie, that kind of like encourages you and understands that, hey, it's a process and anyone can overcome it.
Mm-hmm. So, what are some of the things that you learned from when you were new to this and you weren't getting results? Now you are actually able to set appointments, go list that same day. What are you doing now that you weren't doing then?
I would say, and I keep mentioning the M word, it's mindset. And at the same time, number two would be more of like, being not direct as in like being rude, but getting to the point. At the end of the day, they don't know you, you don't know them. Why are you calling me? And it's like you have to like, Shay, I'm calling you for this, I'm helping you, and show the value, repeat and approve, acknowledge, affirm. And then once you get over that, what is that, 10 seconds of hurdle, after that it's not that complicated.
So being direct in the conversation. Well, I love that because you know how direct my script is.
Exactly.
A close on the first line, and really that's the script. Either they say yes, no, give you an objection, and you take it from there. Um, why do you not think it's a good idea to use these other long scripts that ask a bunch of different questions that have nothing to do, in my opinion, with setting an appointment?
So what I've learned from you and just in general is just that there's an order of process of psychology of sales. And sometimes we ask questions that are on the lower spectrum of the
Yep,
process,
yep.
instead of, the beginning part is the meat and potatoes that the consumer wants to see. Why are you calling me? Why are you talking to me? Once we overcome that, they understand who you are, there's rapport, then you start asking those deeper questions of, motivation and all that
Which
kind of
is
stuff.
when you're pre-qualifying after they agree to the meeting. Okay,
Exactly.
great. You mentioned mindset a couple of times. What is your mindset when calling expireds?
My mindset is that I'm there to help them. No one else is going to treat them and give them the best value. I have a fiduciary responsibility as a realtor, as a real estate agent, to get the most money for them. With my side is just listings. So I'm there. No one else is going to give them better service than I am.
Okay, very good. Okay, just believing you're the best agent for the job. That's it. That's the unstoppable mindset right there. What is your approach with for sale by owners? Do you preview FSBOs? Do you go out to, oh, maybe if you have a buyer, let me look at your house, or let me come, look at the house and tell you what I do? Like, what is your approach there?
No, I don't preview either. It's also being, when we go to the word direct, it's being direct and professional about it, understanding, hey, I'm not beating around the bush. I'm the person that's going to get you the most amount of money in the least amount of time with the fewest hassles. And no one's going to get you top market price other than me.
Amazing. George, do you make circle prospecting, neighborhood calls, just listed, just sold?
I do.
Okay. What what is your approach with those? Do you, I mean, tell me, talk to me how those are very different than FSBOs and expireds, right?
Yeah, they are.
So I would imagine, I don't know. I've made a lot of those calls, as you know, because I talk about it my first years in real estate. But you get more long-term leads, although once in a while you get a come list me now. So when you get a long, let's say I'm gonna sell a year from now, what do you do with that lead?
Yeah. So circle prospecting, like you said, they're a long-term game in a sense. They're good. The pros are probably doing 100 to 1, right? Those are, some
Mm,
days you may get 20 to 1, but on average, it's 100 to 1.
yeah.
Those is just nurturing. You're just cultivating, month after month after month after month, and hoping
How
that
do
the
you
moon and the
how do
stars
you
align.
cultivate? How do you nurture these? What do you do?
For me, is follow-ups with them quarterly, sending them market snapshots of what their valuations of their home, surrounding their vicinity, just listed, just sold information.
Okay, so you make a call today and they tell you I'm gonna sell in a year. Do you go meet with them now?
It all depends. I give them three options. When I give them option number one is I can go over the phone, give you a vague information, a broad range of what your house could be worth. Number two, I can stop this conversation, do some homework, and then call you back. And then number three, I am in the area next week. We can meet for 20 minutes and go from there. So
Okay. Because most of the time, so that would be a preview.
yeah, you could look at it that way. Yeah. But if
Okay.
I'm going in your door, I'm going there with a contract in my computer ready to be signed. So
Okay. So let's say you go on this 20 minutes. They say, that's what what is it that you do at that appointment?
So at that time, I pre-qualified them in the sense, understanding what they've done to their property prior to meeting with them. And I do close in my pre-qualifying questions. If everything makes sense and the numbers look good and you're ready to go, are you willing to list a contract or sign the contract with me? And they say yes. So if they
Say
don't say
yes.
yes,
What if they say no, I don't want to sell until next year?
then if it's no, then it's one of those, I'll be honest, it's a business decision. And chances are I'm doing expired or FSBOs appointments. So that overrides it.
Okay. Okay. So, like, what you're saying basically is if you have a free afternoon or a free hour and you got no immediate business and better appointments to go on, you might actually go meet with them just to put
Might.
yeah. Okay. I got you. How often do you do that, George?
Mm, Probably once a month, if I'm lucky, two times a month, if that, but it's very seldom.
Okay. Good. And do you know what your, let's say you don't actually go meet with a just listed just sold, what is your follow-up? You said you call them once a quarter, you're sending something via email once a month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I send like a neighborhood snapshot, maybe about their area, give them a call, holiday calls, nurtures here and there, touch and base.
How many of those
Um,
leads do you have right now? I have no clue the answer to this question. I'm just wondering, how many do you think you have?
I'll be honest, in my database, I have roughly about 2,600 contacts. And
Hmm,
then the beginning of my career was a lot of those until I started, I was a very, when you go into this business, you don't know what to do.
right.
And you're scared to call expired. Scared to call FSBOs. So I would say now out of those 2,600, I probably have about 600 remaining.
Okay, but 600 are leads from just listed, just sold, or this is your entire database?
That's just listed, just sold, calling the neighborhoods, and now,
600, George, I'm
yeah.
freaking out.
Yeah, but that's because I didn't know how to, I didn't know the definitions as you teach us. You give us a good example now that we should only have about 10% of our contacts for the day. So if we're doing 30 at most, you may have maximum at 3. So before, if you breathed and you said you liked me, I would put you in my database.
Oh, so a lot of those are from that era.
Garbage. Yeah,
See, so here's a coaching moment, George.
awesome.
In the middle of those 600, you ought to have a small number that are ready to list sometime soon. But since you have so many, like those, let's say you have 10 that are going to list in the next 30 to 60 days. Like, how do you even identify them? They get lost in the shuffle there. What? So think about that and
Oh yeah,
how do you separate that, right? Because that's the danger of accumulating too many leads.
you're absolutely correct.
I mean, you could send something via email, which obviously you should do, but like, how do you call 600 people quarterly? I don't think you're doing that because you said you call
No,
quarterly.
yeah, yeah. So what I do is I alphabetize them. I put them in by their last names. I call them, and then so let's say if I have someone with the last name of A's, I probably have like maybe 180 of those contacts. I call them each Monday through Friday. So I talk to about maybe 10. So I'm leaving a lot of money on the table.
Well, my concern is you can't speak with all of them because you're focused on the FSBOs and expires, which is immediate business. So you're only going to speak with a small number of those. You better make sure that the small number, you only keep the ones that like they're not just breathing and they're going to sell real estate 20 years from now, because otherwise the good ones get lost in there. So you got to clean that thing up, George. You got to
Yeah,
clean
thank
it
you. Let's
up.
scrub them.
Yeah. Hey, amazing work. I know how are you doing this year with your business in general?
We're doing well. We're on track. We're probably about 5% of our goal for halfway through the year. Our goal is to do 60 by the end of the year, by October. So we're doubling down, like you said, a lot of calls that we have to make, cleaning the database and making those FSBOs and expires calls. My confidence has gone up, so we're doing really
Oh,
well.
I know. You're the leader of the pack of that Zoom prospecting group. So everybody's is looking at you as a leader, and me as well. George,
Awesome.
so your goal is 60
Yes.
for you're going October through October. Did I hear that
October.
correctly?
Yes.
Okay. So you said something about 5%. So in relative to the goal of 60, where are you at today?
So right now we're about 26 closed transactions. So we're kind of short of our 30 for the mid-year from
Oh,
six
for the
months.
mid-year. Okay.
Yeah,
So
for the mid-year.
20. Okay, got you. Okay. Well, you could catch up on that very quickly.
Yeah, I am planning to. We got a lot of pendings. We got some actives out there. We're putting 3 more. We listed 3 this week, so we're doing well.
Amazing work. Do you prospect every day?
Prospect every day from 8 to 12.
8 to 12. There. Wow.
Now a little bit later too.
Yeah, totally. Yes. Thank you, George, so much. Keep doing the great job with the expires and FSBOs out there. I trust that everything you said inspire the people watching to go list and well, first call and then go on and list those too. So thank you, George, so much. I will see you soon.
Thank you.